In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how we can create callout views in Autodesk Revit and how we can apply template properties to them as well. We'll take a look at a mechanical, lighting, and a plumbing example. As you will see, the steps are going to be pretty similar for each. I'll begin with the mechanical example. Here we have this school building, and I want to create a callout of Area A, which is this northernmost wing here. So, since I'm creating a view, I will go to the View tab. Then I will choose the drop-down underneath Callout. Doing so will allow me to choose the Sketch option. If I just want a rectangular shape, I can just choose the Callout button. But I'm going to choose the Sketch option, and I am going to create an irregular shape around the north wing of the building here. Then once I've closed my sketch, I can go ahead and click Finish. And as you can see, a new view was created. You'll also see a little callout bubble here. So I can click and drag the little head of the bubble to place it where it might work best. I think I'll place it over here on the upper left corner. And if I zoom in a little bit closer, I can also set this line to be horizontal. Now, I do have a little call out here to indicate which sheet the view is going to be on. We haven't placed anything on sheets yet, so we don't see anything just yet. I do want to rename this view, so it is currently just simply called Callout 1. So I'm going to right click and rename this, and I will just call it the mechanical plan and then Area A. Of course, I could do the same thing for Area B down below. To jump to that view, I can either double click on the name or I can double click on the view bubble here, and either one will take me to this view. One thing that's important to note is that by default, detail views double the scale. So if I look at the mechanical plan, it was an 1/8 inch equals a foot. When I look at the detail view, it has been doubled and it's now 1/4 inch equals a foot. I'm going to come down to my view control bar and turn off the display of the cropping region here. And then I'm also going to create one more call out of a typical classroom HVAC system here. So I will choose the rectangular call out tool this time, and once again pick a couple of diagonal endpoints here. And then once more I can move my bubble to a better location and of course straighten that out as well as best I can. There we go. Now I can rename this one. So I'll rename this and I'm going to call it Typical Classroom Mechanical. I'll go ahead and double click on this view to make it current. So remember, the scale doubled to 1/4 inch equals a foot. Now that I created a detail view off of this one, you can see that the scale doubled again. Now we're at 1/2 inch equals a foot. I'm going to apply a template property to this one. So I'll right click on it in the browser here and choose Apply Template Properties. And I'm going to apply the HVAC plan. Notice that one of the things that gets applied in the template is a view scale. So that will change my scale back to an 1/8 inch equals a foot here. You can kind of see that in the line weights on this drawing. A couple of things to note about the callouts. First of all, if I go back to my original mechanical plan, notice that you only see the original callout. You don't see the smaller callout. You have to go to the view where that was created in order to see that callout. Then one other thing I want to point out is what happens if I place one of these callouts on a sheet. I'll just create a new sheet using the default template here, and then I will place my Area A on the sheet. Obviously this one's not going to fit too well, so I would need to adjust the scale. But if I go back to 01 mechanical plan, you can see that this has been updated to show me that it is view number 1 on sheet A102. That's another nice thing that Revit does, is automatically number your views for you. So we'll take a look at that once again, this time looking at a lighting plan instead. Very similar steps, so I'll go a little quicker this time. The View tab, Call Out, and Sketch. I'll create my irregular shape here. Then I can go ahead and finish. Once again, I can move the bubble to a better location. And I can straighten that out. In the interest of time, I'll just kind of hit the high points on these repetitive ones. I can also go ahead and rename my callout, but again, for now, I'll just keep moving here. And then inside the callout, I can also create another view. I can also turn off my crop region again, but now I'll come in and do a callout of the electrical room here. And then once again, I can set that view current. We can see the scale doubles each time. I can once more apply a template property to it. And I'll choose the power plan for this particular one. We can see it's going to go 1/4 inch equals a foot for this one. And we can also see that it moved it to the power subcategory. So once again, I got some renaming to do, but in the interest of time, I'll just move to the next example, which is the plumbing one. So once again, very similar steps. I will choose view and sketch a callout, sketch my irregular shape. Then finish. Once more, I can rename my callout. I can set it current, turn off the crop region. I can also go ahead and create another sub callout here. And we'll just do one of these little sinks here. I'll jump to that new view. Again, I could adjust these bubble locations, but you get the idea of how to do that. And then I can rename this one typical classroom plumbing, for example, and once more apply a template property. In this case, this is going to be a plumbing plan. And you can see, in addition to view settings, it's also changing the scale back to 1/8 inch equals a foot for this one. So once again, I've got some renaming to do, but in the interest of time, I will go ahead and pause there. So very similar process, whether we're dealing with mechanical, electrical, or plumbing. So that concludes this look at creating callout views in Autodesk Revit.